Trim tabbers, the small rudder that turns the big rudder that turns the entire ship. This trim tabbing idea is so powerful to me. The small rudder that turns the big rudder that turns the entire ship. You just start in your own small circle of influence, and gradually it gets larger and larger through the power of your moral authority. And it can impact the entire ship. It's a threatening idea, though, because it means we are responsible. We do have the freedom and power to choose our response in any given set of circumstances. And it causes us to be very creative, because we're not fearful of risks. We're not running scared of people's opinions. We don't grow up with a comparison-based identity where our sense of worth comes from how well we stack up to others. It comes from our integrity to our conscience and to principles that are deeply embedded within us. And it gives an internal source of security. So you're no longer dependent upon opinion or position or address or status or fashion. It's enormously emancipating and free to then give yourself and to make a difference, to become a trim tabber. Let's look at the question, why is this 8th habit so relevant today? Why is it any really different than just another habit in degree to the other 7? The 7 Habits was published in 1989. That was also the same year that the Berlin Wall came down, and is generally considered the beginning of the information age. So I'd like to put that into perspective, into a larger historical perspective, in order to answer my question, why an 8th habit? In what way is that the 3rd dimension to the other 7? Here are 5 civilization eras, economic eras of humankind. And the technology is shown in each era. Hunters and gatherers, bow and arrow being the technology, the fulcrum's in the center, put in 1 unit of effort. You catch 1 fish, you get 1 deer, you gather so many seeds, nuts, whatever, okay? You became a farmer. The fulcrum went over there a long ways, so that you put in 1 unit of effort and you get out 50 units of productivity. Can you imagine the social dislocation of 95% of the people being downsized? Imagine the new skill set they would have to learn, the new mindset, the new tool set. The industrial age, it put the fulcrum way over there, so that the industrial age outproduces the agricultural age 50 times. Specialization, mass production, efficiency, supply side management. So many marvelous things. And on that basis has come most of the economic and social progress of the entire 20th century. It comes from the industrial age. In fact, the farmers adopted the industrial model. And that's why an industrialized farm will outproduce a family farm 50 times. A little over 2.5%, 3% of the people in this country feed the entire country. Imagine the social dislocation again. Imagine the downsizing, the re-education, the retooling. Can you begin to get the sense of what I'm talking about? Because we move now into the information, knowledge worker age. It's a whole different world. Literally. It's no longer a world of controlling people. It's a world of unleashing people. I mean, take the accounting concept that came from the industrial age model. You are an expense. Coming to this, participating in this, is an expense. But if you buy a machine, what's that called? An investment. Isn't that interesting? People are an expense, things are an investment. That's the paradigm of the industrial model. And because most people are alienated and disempowered, then it puts the responsibility on who to do the so-called leadership and management? Those with formal authority. How do they do it? They carrot and stick them. Here's the carrot, here's the stick. If you produce, you get the carrot. If you don't, you get the stick. It's called the great jackass theory of human motivation, and causes profound alienation. I'll show you what else it causes. Close your eyes for a second, wherever you are watching this. Point, close your eyes, but don't peek. Point north, don't peek. Okay, now open your eyes and look around and see where people are pointing. I mean, look, literally. That way, this way, straight up, that way, this way. I mean, just look at the people right around you. Do you want to have the same exact experience? Try it. Go to any group, any department in your organization that you work with, or go to the top executive team. Just walk in and say, what's the number one high priority goal? And just see what they say. What's number one? Write them down. I'll guarantee it'll be just like pointing north. Well, if that is the case, and a person's purpose and value system and their priority goals drive every other decision, is there any wonder there is such profound misalignment? Just watch the difference as you go into any business, whether they're into the industrial age model or the knowledge worker age model. I'll guarantee you, it will be so vast. The one is so superior over the other. This is a little film we put together to communicate some of this data. We just did this in a soccer field just behind my home. These are some of our employees. It's called Goal.
Spread out, everybody! Spread out! Sophie, sweetie, pass it to Trent! Trent! Okay, that's good, that's good! Okay, guys, remember, do the thing we practiced. Remember? No, not that thing. The other thing we practiced. Time out! Time out! Everybody, come in! Come in now, everybody! Treats! I got treats! Ah, there we go. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do, all right? Andy, I want you out on the wing. Trent, I want you to fake the pass to Andy and push the ball up the field, and then pass the ball to your forwards who are Sophie and Chris. Sophie, I want you to hold the ball and draw the defense out to you, all right? Then I want you to float a lob pass all the way over the defense to Chris. Chris, you take it in for the score, just like we did in practice. Everybody got it? Let's go get him!
Do you see any similarities between Saturday morning soccer and Monday morning at the office? I mean, think about it. Too often, teams and organizations are unclear about the goals their top priorities really are. Coaches and players are simply not on the same page. What you get is everyone just kind of running around in all directions. It's instead of working together toward the same goal. The inability to take high-level goals and strategies of an organization and then to translate those into action is a major problem in most organizations. It's one thing to come up with great strategies and goals, but it's quite another to actually get them done. This is what we could call the execution gap. In a landmark study done by the Harris Polling Group, we discovered some revealing statistics as to why execution breaks down and why goals aren't translated into action on the front line. First finding, only 15% of those surveyed can actually identify their organization's most important goals or top priorities. Either there are too many goals, or they change too often, or they simply don't have any. And in most cases, they are vastly undercommunicated. Just because the leaders are clear on what they want to achieve, it doesn't necessarily mean that the front line where the action really happens knows what the goals are. After all, in a very real sense, the front line produces the bottom line. Second, people may know what the goals are, but too often they haven't bought into them. Only 19% surveyed say that they feel passionate about the top goals of their organizations. That's only 1 in 5. There are a number of reasons for this, but the primary one is that they feel no ownership. They don't feel that they have input into what it's going to take to achieve the goal. They simply aren't emotionally connected to the goal. No involvement, no commitment. Third, those surveyed reported that they spend only 49% of their available work hours on their most important goals. The rest of the time is spent on urgent, but far less important activities. They get so distracted by urgent things that they neglect the most important things. Finally, people might know what the goals and top priorities are. They might even buy into them, but they don't know what they are supposed to do about them. In fact, 51% state that they personally do not understand what they are supposed to do to help the organization achieve its goals. Goals will not be executed until everyone clearly understands what the goal is and what they themselves specifically need to do to meet that goal. Once people are clear on what the goal is, then and only then are they free to try new and better ways to reach that goal. So the point is, to achieve goals you've never achieved before, you simply need to start doing things you've never done before. You might ask, is it possible to dramatically and measurably improve your team's ability to reach its goals? Can it really happen? My answer is absolutely. Just imagine the impact when everyone on the team is crystal clear about what the goals are. Imagine the energy and creativity that would be unleashed when everyone in the organization is committed and involved in achieving the goals. Consider the economic impact when everyone on the team is spending the majority of their time on top priorities. Just think what can be accomplished when every player on the team knows exactly what to do. The possibilities, my friends, are limitless. The best deterrent in nature is light. The best deterrent in organizational life is real-time information that is given to everybody. And that's what the new technology enables us to do. And you can literally clean a culture to where you get the 5th level, which is the principle level. That's illustrated by the compass. That's the age of wisdom, to bring principles that come from all of these different ages. Now, this is called the Indian talking stick. It was given to me by Indian chiefs after training them for several days. They run Indian nations in North America, the States and Canada. They even gave me my name, Bald Eagle. It's authentic, specially carved, beautiful. But you could use a pencil, you could use a spoon, a conch, anything. The whole idea of it, and they taught this to the founding fathers, most powerful communication idea and technique I have ever found, ever. How many are frequently in meetings where you can just feel the hidden agendas operating? I always like to break that down fast. I always like to heal divisions in your own family. Two kids that are quarreling with each other. Just do this. You just go up and you say to the other person, you've got the talking stick. I can't say anything. Maybe I can ask a question to see if I do understand your point, but I can't make my point. I can't agree. I can't disagree. All I can do is communicate until you feel understood. As soon as you feel understood on your point, then you pass the talking stick or pencil or whatever to me. Now it is my turn. And you are quiet and you listen with empathy until I feel understood. As soon as I feel understood, I pass it back to you. Until you feel understood, then you pass it back to me. Now what happens is literally it transforms defensive, negative energy into creative, transforming energy. Here's why. When you really listen to another in depth until they feel understood, you are communicating their worth, their potential. You are affirming them. It is so therapeutic, so healing, that they cannot fight you. And they gradually become more and more open. Try it tonight with your loved ones. You see two kids fighting, just walk up to the smaller one and say, honey, you've got the pencil. No one can talk until you feel understood. And then, as soon as you feel understood, and we make your point to your satisfaction, then you pass it to your older sister or brother. Just try it. You think it takes time? It will save so much time. And in your meetings that you go to, basically you say, let's agree to the simple ground rule that no one can make their point until they restate the other person's point to his or her satisfaction. You see, what this does, it enables you to co-mission. So as you're listening to people back and forth, we come up with a we solution. Do you know that the Iroquois Foundation, or Federation of Indians, taught this to the founding fathers of our country? I am absolutely convinced that impacted what took place in the miracle in Philadelphia and in the creation of this magnificent country with 4.5% of the world's population producing about 30% of the world's goods. There's nothing like it in the history. Because of the institutionalization of these principles inside the Constitution. Now, I want to suggest 3 challenges. I'm going to put these inside 3 circles. The first circle we'll call personal greatness. The next circle, leadership greatness. And the third circle, organizational greatness. Under personal greatness, I would put the 7 habits leading to finding your voice and inspiring others to find their voice. Only this part, since it's personal, is to find your own voice. I know when I was 20, someone asked me to do management training. Gave me my whole voice for my entire life. I was planning to go into a family business, and I had geared myself to it, but I found such a passion in the other direction. Leadership greatness. Modeling the 7 habits leading to the 8th habit of inspiring others to find their voice, affirming them. Leadership is basically communicating people's worth and potential so clearly they come to see it in themselves. Under organizational greatness, Mission, vision, values. Now put up the word co-missioning. And at the center, execution. Now, the three challenges are these. Get your head out of other people's weaknesses or out of your boss's weaknesses. Don't be sitting here saying, well, this is good stuff, but the person who really needs it isn't here. You are a trim tabber. Take responsibility. Create a culture of responsibility, not blame. The whole purpose of leadership effectiveness is to empower other people so that you help them find their voice. And they are in positions, as Jim Collins puts it, in the right place on the right bus. And then their strength is made productive and their weakness is made irrelevant through the strength of other people because of developing a complementary team. Commissioning, the great tool of bringing together the mission of individuals with the mission of organizations, I suggest is the use of this kind of communication illustrated by the Indian talking stick. Now, I wanted to show one final little 2-minute film that gives the basic underlying lighthouse principle of a whole person. The 4 basic needs: to live, to love, to learn, to leave a legacy. In summary, put up, if you would, the 7 habits diagram with the 8th habit as the 3rd dimension. Find your voice and inspire others to find theirs. This is a totality of thinking for a knowledge worker age. If you want to get the most from this presentation, teach it at home and at work shortly after you learn it. In doing so, you will learn it better, you'll commit to live it more, and it will make your own growth and change legitimate in other people's eyes because they see you actually learning. And remember also the 3 challenges: trim tab, empower, commission. And remember finally, in the words of Teilhard Chardin, we are not human beings having a spiritual experience. We are spiritual beings having a human experience.
We hope you have enjoyed this special presentation of Stephen Covey's The 8th Habit, From Effectiveness to Greatness.